Michel, if you'd like to come to the virtual stage, we'd love to hear your presentation around Polyxand Plastic in Cambodia. So, Michel, if you'd like to arrive, we'll be looking forward
Sure,
to
I'm
hear
here.
your presentation. You're here. Lovely to have you here.
Yeah.
Over to you.
All right. Thank you. Hello, my name is Michel Dauguet, and I'm streaming this presentation from Cambodia, where I work as WASH Program Director for iDE. My organization has been presented already by two of my colleagues in earlier presentations, so I'll jump straight into the subject matter, which is about kickstarting a plastic recycling industry in Cambodia. Next slide, please. So, like many developing countries in the region, Cambodia has a massive appetite for plastic, which constitutes 20% of its solid waste. And like many other developing countries, most of this plastic plastic waste is ending up in landfill, in waterways, in coastline, or released in the atmosphere when it's burned. Only 10%, about 10% of the plastic is picked up for recycling. That's a classic story so far, unfortunately. But where I think it's worse for Cambodia is that none of this picked up plastic is recycled in country. It's instead put on truck and sent to Cambodia or Thailand, where the plastic recycling factories are located. So next slide. So we believe that another bad news is that Vietnam and Thailand have announced that they will stop importing plastic. So livelihood of plastic picker will be destroyed, and Cambodia will end up trapped under its plastic, unless we find a way to develop a local plastic recycling. Next slide. Our solution is based on a recycling process, or I should say a downcycling process, which consists in mixing plastic waste with sand in order to create a composite material which can be pressed into construction material, and more in particular into roof tiles. At the end of this process, you have shingle or roof tile that can be price competitive, 50% lighter and less brittle than the traditional concrete roof tile, and have excellent thermal and sound insulation property. Next slide. So mainstream plastic recycling has not developed in Cambodia because it requires typically millions of US dollars. It requires very large volume of sorted and mostly uncontaminated plastic streams. And it requires large economies of scale to be sustainable over an output product, which has a very small profit margin. All this is very difficult to realize in rural a country like Cambodia. In contrast to this, the sand polymer downcycling process will allow us to have SME-friendly business opportunity that requires lighter investment, can take different sort of plastic, and is tolerant to contamination, and can produce a product with a healthy gross margin that can be consumed locally in Cambodia. Next, please. Next, thank you. So a minimal production unit, a minimal viable production unit would require about $100,000 in equipment, in fixed asset investments. And with 8 workers, you can expect to produce about 40,000 tiles per month, which translates into $250,000 per year, and a return on investment of about 3 years for the entrepreneur. While capturing 240 tons of plastic. This is a very small business, and this is very small numbers, but the beauty is in the replication. Next slide, please. A bit of context, the market for roof tile in Cambodia is very buoyant and very promising. There is a construction boom in Cambodia, which is here to last. And we've had a 12% year-on-year growth on the roof tile market over the last 5 years. There is plenty of room for growth with another 1 million houses to be delivered within the next 5 years, and 2 million existing rural houses that require improvement, because traditional Khmer house are typically roofed with iron or aluminum roof sheets. which are terrible for their occupant, and could benefit from our lighter tile, which is compatible with the carpentry structure of this house. Next slide. So we are targeting mainly with this business the rural housing market, where 80% of the population in Cambodia live in the province. And we have the vision for a decentralized production model with production unit in all viable provinces, their own production unit, joint venture, and franchise unit. We want over time is to have the manufacturing done by partner, franchise partner, and focus on branding, sales and marketing, as well as last mile financing solution for homeowner. Next slide, please. So this is an early stage or startup investment opportunity. We envision 3 funding phases. First, an innovation grant to kickstart the project by completing a thorough feasibility study. But we would like to meet an impact investor with a circular economy investment theme, or an actor in the construction industry that would have a green building strategy. To discuss the other 2 phases, which would be to build a single production facility and facilitate to validate the viability of the business, as well as to replicate this business many times over across the country. Next slide. That's it for my presentation. I hope this triggered your interest. I would like to thank my team that you see in picture for helping me putting this presentation together. If you are interested by this idea, Chris and I will be around ready to answer your question. Thank you very much.